So today we have three different Discmans, and you could probably guess that by the look of each one, they're definitely from a different era. So we have the Sony Discman D-2. This came out probably between 1988 and 1989. This is very well built, very sturdy. It's got a metal bottom and 100% made in Japan. This is dated about 1989. Nothing special about this one. As a matter of fact, it's probably one of their more basic models. It's got just your basic play mode, your hold, your volume. There is a model that has the mega bass, but this one does not. The mega bass model is, I believe, the D-20. It does have an input for some type of remote jack or some type of remote. And it also has, I guess, a little bar for a strap. And I mean, it's very basic. There's a view of the inside. The inside is plastic. This part where the enclosure of where the actual mechanism is actually metal. And I'm going to show you briefly the battery compartment. It does take 4 AA batteries. The bottom is metal, but the top is plastic. And then moving over, we have the Sony Discman. Model is D-EJ016CK. This one was released probably around 2006. And this is made in China. And takes two AA batteries. And then the bottom is plastic, the top is plastic, obviously. There's their LCD display. And this is the inside of it. This is the inside of it. It's got a plastic enclosure, and the mechanism top part here is plastic. And it does take 2 AA batteries. This is the newest of all the Sony Walkmans, or Discmans. This one's actually labeled Walkman. That's the inside of it. The model number is D-E220. And there's the bottom of it. This is from 2017. And this one also takes 2 AA batteries. This one you can adjust the sound. There's your volume control. So the reason I have these three Sony Discmans and Funny enough, they started. I guess they started in the 2000s. They started calling the Discmans the Walkman, as shown on both these tops. Well, the reason I have this is because I wanted to make a comparison between three different generations of Sony Discmans or Walkmans now. Often I've heard in forums and online that the old Discmans used to have a very good sound and are better made, better quality. I've been using all three of these, and I haven't had a chance to actually compare. So I am going to get my Bend Sound disc. We're also going to be using Audiosity to look at the frequencies that each one of these Discmans show, just to make a comparison and see. Before I got into the comparisons using Audacity, I wanted to just go over the specs for each Discman / Walkman. So this is for the D-2, which is the one that I own. And here's a good look at the specs. One thing that I noticed is that across the board, they all have a frequency response of 20 to 20,000 hertz. I do notice that the output here is a little higher because the other CD players go up to. So I noticed that this one has a higher output. It's at 9 milliwatts per channel at 32 ohms. The other ones have between 10 milliwatts and 9 milliwatts, but at 16 ohms. So we'll go ahead and look at those other ones in a minute. Obviously, one thing that is easier to see is that this one obviously needs more volts for power. This one does need 4 batteries, as I mentioned earlier. And then the next one is the D-EJ016CK. This is from 2006. And I'll go ahead and zoom in the specs right there. So as you can see, this one does come with the Mega Bass. It's got automatic shutoff. And then the output power on this one is a little less than the D-2. It's got 5 milliwatts per channel at 16 ohms. It consumes less power, obviously, because it only needs 2 batteries, so it's 4.5 volts. Obviously weighs less. So that is the D-EJ016CK. Let's go ahead and jump over to the D-E220. I'll go ahead and enlarge the page so that we can see the specs clearly. Okay, so this CD player has 20 to 20,000 hertz frequency response, just like the other ones. It's got 12 milliwatts per channel at 16 ohms. And then obviously consumes less power. It requires 4.5 volt jack for power. It only needs 2 AA batteries. So that is basically the D-E220. So what I went ahead and I plugged in the Sony Discman D-2 from 1989, and I plugged it into my computer in the microphone port. And what I did is I got Audacity out and I started recording some sound samples from a CD that I've burned. So at first the audio was very clipped, meaning that it went way above the 0.5 decibels that this thing has to balance out the sound. So what I needed to do is I needed to lower it, and I ended up lowering it to 6 on the dial. But because I did that to that particular CD player, I went ahead and did it to all the other ones so that it would be even. And from what I can see is the volume on the newer CD players is actually a lot lower than these old original ones. I've actually tested a 1992 Panasonic Discman that has the same problem, and when you
put it full blast, I mean, it's going to clip because I guess the output is very high. So on the newer ones, the output it's quite lower. So what I'm going to do is I'll show you what they all sound like with 6 on the dial. And I'll start off with the D-2. So I'm going to go ahead and just play that for a second.
Shut up and sit down.
It sounds like this one gives out a lot more output. This is basically the wave, so you can be the judge of the quality of that sound. I'm going to go ahead and put the next one. The next one is going to be the Sony Discman or Sony Walkman D-EJ016CK. This is from 2006. So I will go ahead and play that now. Okay. And as you can see, this was turned down to 6 on its digital dial. And you can see that the output is a lot lower. So I'll go ahead and just play that for you. So as you can see, the sound is a lot lower, perhaps because the dial's turned down to 6, which is for the newer one, which has, I would say, a lower output. I'm going to go ahead and play the next CD Discman or Walkman. This is the E-E220. This is from 2017. And as you can see, this one has a very low output as well. So I will go ahead and just show you that. Play it from the beginning.
Shut up and sit down.
Okay, so that would be the last one. I think that this one, the sound was a little bit more clear. I definitely think that it sounds better than the D-EJ016CK. This one I did turn off for both of them actually because they both have a bass boost. That was turned off. I just wanted to hear just the Walkmans on their own. So that would be that would make this a fair comparison to the three. Definitely the Sony Discman has a larger output, so that's just something to bear in mind when you're buying these retro Sony Walkmans or Discmans.
So these are my final thoughts. These Walkmans, I believe, or Discmans, as its original name was, they can all function well, but I think that it all depends on how you're going to use them, which will make the difference of which one you choose. Starting off with this one, this is a very good Walkman Discman. Quality-wise, I would always go with this one because it's better made. And obviously, it's got a higher output. I use this Discman for my sound system in my living room because I really can't fit in a full-size CD player, so I use this, and it gives me really good sound, really clear sound. But I would say one of the drawbacks is that it doesn't have any type of anti-skip, and as a matter of fact, it doesn't even have a clip that you could put the CD in that will help it stay clipped on. You would definitely not be able to take this Discman for like a jog if you were into that. And it's very basic. I mean, it's got no mega bass, but I really don't need the mega bass since I have this plugged into an amplifier. So if I want any more bass, I can just, you know, manage that with my amplifier. But I would probably just go for how well this is made and just the sound quality that I get. The higher output that I'm going to get is going to go better with my amplifier at home. Which is something that I would not give the job to either this one or this one because of just how low their output is. Now, this one and this one I would say are very similar to one another. But of the better of the two, I would always go with this one. And the reason for that is because putting them side by side on Audacity and seeing their output, this has better output. But I also noticed that this sounds a lot more clearer than this one. And I also like that because this is newer. And one thing I wanted to also mention is that I also noticed that this one skips a lot. And the reason it does that is because I strongly believe that this one and this one have a better laser that can withstand skips. I have put CDs that are scratched in here and it will not play them. It'll skip quite a bit. And I don't really have the same problem with these newer ones. So that's another thing to keep in mind. If I were to go out for a jog or be on the move, I would probably choose either one of these. But out of the two, I would probably always go with this one because this I feel has a better sound. They both have mega bass, which is an advantage to that one. I mean, they're more compact, they're lighter. They take less batteries. This one takes 4 AA batteries, which it could be quite a battery hog. And it probably is due to the higher output that this has. But I would probably, out of these two, I would probably go with this one. Aesthetically, I think it looks better. This would probably rank higher. So I would probably say, depending on how you use it, if you're going to have a stereo at home that you just want to play some CDs with no scratches, this probably might be a good choice for you. If you want something that's a little bit more versatile and you could take on the jog, you can play on your stereo. This one would probably do the job as good as this one. I just personally, from what I was listening to, this one had the better sound. Well, not as good as this one, but this one would probably be a little more versatile. In my home theater setup, I probably will continue using this one. And if I have any problems with playing CDs, I could just probably use this one, if I wanted to. Another disadvantage to this is that this one's you're always going to struggle to find accessories for this because this is close to 30 years. Well, it is 30 years old, so it's going to be harder to find stuff to support that. But those are my thoughts, and I don't do these videos to cause any kind of controversy. I just do them so that people can kind of see what their choices are as far as what they want to buy. I see a lot of people advocating for retro devices like this one, for example. And I'm also a big fan of retro devices, but I like to be honest and transparent about what might be the benefits of having something like this versus something like this or something like that. So nonetheless, I hope you enjoyed my video, and comment if you like the video or thumbs it up. I'm working on my social media page, so pretty soon I'm hoping that I have something out there that people can join and follow me. So thank you so much and have a wonderful day.